Welcome, Zeus. Zeusers, welcome to Ecclesia number 26. So I hope to bring you some good news, but one of the things is that we are looking to make a decision on whether to go for mainnet or do another active set testing. Our internal tests are going well, and but we're bumping up to the November 1st timeline, so we're trying to decide what we want to do today. Should we cut a release for the active set, or should we redo the active set? Because today the current situation is the active set has 92 miners and 27 charters. We need 103 miners for mainnet. So, there could be, basically there are two paths. One, we could use the current release and do the active set testing, but that would delay the mainnet for a few days more. Or we basically go for mainnet, which means we have to do steps, the first couple of steps where we create the magic block, and with the 103 miners now, since they're all active now, because we had a couple of miners that were out of town, and so we can redo the active set and basically gear up for mainnet release. So those are the decisions that are pending today. I was working on it actually before the call, before this AMA, and I hope to have a decision. But there are a few things that are still pending for me to decide which way to go. Obviously, we want the mainnet to come out, as early as possible, because we have a conference on the 5th of November, NFT San Francisco, and I would like to attend it, and I'd like to talk to people and say, hey, mainnet is here, it's live. So that's one of the decisions that's basically kind of forcing the narrative in terms of what we can do in order to achieve that. So so unfortunately I can't have a clear say of what we're gonna do next, but in the next couple of hours we'll make a decision whether to cut a release using the current sprint code, or we basically go for it for mainnet and do a soft launch, and if everything works out, then we say mainnet is live. And there are several, logistical things that needs to happen in terms of token pledging and all of that, getting, the mainnet up with the 103 miners. So it's all needs to happen at the same time. So we need to basically make sure that we can make it for the November 1st release, because we really like to do a soft launch on November 1st, and then announce, do a countdown, and announce it on the 5th or the 6th. So so in terms of I want to show what we currently have in terms of what is left to be done. So this is the backend issues. Most of it is on the SDK, that are on the SDK side can be ignored because they're essentially front end, and it just doesn't affect our launch date. So there are a few items that we need to merge, like this one. Move old partitions to slow disk, and then these are mostly tests. So again, this is something we need to pass, but this we can pass concurrently, and we can push the code. So that's not not something that will kind of break, but we would like to pass all the tests. So these are conductor tests that we need to pass, system tests that we need to pass, And there are a few elements that, like this one, for instance, is on the blower that can be done post mainnet. But these two, we expect it to be also closed for mainnet. So as well as these from Jayesh. So these would be, we will need. This is again all this stuff is all on the front end, so we don't need. This is documentation. Zero box we don't need. So, and these are minor items. So basically, and then Yaroslav, these are some of the things that we need on the decks that we need to close. So for the most part, we are pretty much ready for mainnet. There are tests that we need to pass. The main problem has been the tests, and we are close. If you look at the mainnet items, sorry, not this one, this one, we are close to pass the Cypress test. So we're passing Cypress without chaos, but with chaos, only the Vault app has some issues. So we want to look into that and see if we can pass that. And we've been basically struggling with the Cypress tests. It's passing now on the without chaos, and we just need to make sure it passes with chaos, and then we're good to go. So we're gonna make a decision today what to do, and if it is a relaunch, if it's a mainnet launch, then we need to do steps 1 and 2, which would mean that we can still make it to the November 1st timeline. However, if we were to launch, if we were to do the active set with the current release, then it'll push us back probably around November 5th. So about 5 days it'll push us back. So that's the dilemma, and that's what the decision we're facing. In terms of split key, the mobile flow is sorted out. The web flow, there are some issues that we need to sort out. We expect to have a decision on that probably by tomorrow. Zerobox HA is done, so let me put that in that done category. This is also done. This is actually now 27 issues, but most of them, as I mentioned, are tests. There's 1 or 2 that needs to be there's about 4 or 5 that needs to be incorporated within the mainnet release. Video streaming, there are some issues that we are sorting out. This is still a problem, but it won't hold us mainnet. Sync with desktop, it's a feature that we expect to have it done this week. Again, this won't help, won't prevent mainnet from happening. So in terms of the apps, there, we will, when we release mainnet, we will test all of them, and if with the soft release essentially, and then if they all work out, then we will announce all of them to be ready. So that's basically still holds true for all of this mainnet, because the apps are a lot more stable now, including the mobile and the desktop apps for Vault and Bolt. So in terms of, so right now we're basically waiting for Cypress test. The conductor test, we expect those to be sorted out and passing. So that's basically what we are waiting for. There are few things we're waiting for today, and then we'll make a decision what to do next. All right, so let's go to the questions. Okay, question 1. After mainnet, what is the marketing strategy to increase awareness and adoption? Do you plan on partnering with any VCs to distribute to their portfolio companies, or leverage existing partnerships that are still intact? So our marketing strategy is basically twofold. One, we want to increase awareness of our consumer apps, which is Vault and Chalk, and that will happen, I would say, almost immediately, probably after 1 week or so after we announce it. And then in terms of awareness with the enterprise, it's a Blimp app. And that's something we're already doing. We're talking to people. Now we can, have a live demo with them. So that's always helpful. And then, we want to win at least one flagship company so that we can leverage that for future partnerships. So the companies we're going after are large companies. Will it happen? I don't know. But we're also, talking to startups, and that's our focus. The startup companies in Web3 and Web2 that they can use our decentralized storage. So if we have some of them, that will probably also help us getting a flagship company or partnership with a company that would be using us as a decentralized storage platform. So that's our strategy. One of the strategies to improve the SEO of our site, our name brand, and our apps. And we're focusing, as I mentioned, on three apps: Blimp for the enterprise, Chalk, and Vault for the consumers. Okay. So, what is the fundraising strategy to ensure that you extend runway to accomplish next milestones? After we go mainnet live, we want to see the adoption based on our metrics. We have now enough analytics and metrics that are going to be active in terms of what is our adoption based on people looking at our apps or using our apps. Is their organic growth? So we need organic growth to have some sort of a story to tell the VCs in terms of what is the adoption rate. And we expect, based on demand, based on interest, we expect the adoption rate to be good if they like the apps, if the apps work perfectly. So that's basically a relation of how well the product is working, and there is a need. Obviously, it's filling the need. So it's all about execution of the product, and we feel like we are there. I mean, we have the apps tested by various people. We have our professional testers. We have our internal team. We also have the community testing the apps and giving us feedback. So we feel like at a good we're in a good situation where we expect a high level of adoption. And if we have adoption, then the fundraising is basically gonna be very easy to sort out, because the fundraising is all about, okay, if it does do the users want your product, and if they want your product, then it should be a matter of, okay, how fast it's growing, how fast is the adoption growing, and based on that you have evaluation, and based on the valuation you can raise X amount. So that's pretty simple math. So question 3, how has the integration of new features impacted the project launch date? So one of the new features that we added was being able to buy ZCN with any ERC. And that's something we added. We also added some of the features we thought that was necessary, like switching providers. Has it impacted the project launch date? Probably a little bit, but not by much, because we had some issues on the blockchain side. I was a different person working on it. We had issues with our storage protocol. That's a separate person working on it. So they were, I would say, the people who are integrating the new features are separate from from the backend guys. And now that the backend is stable, these guys are now helping close out the new features if there's any issue. So, we try, our goal is obviously to go to mainnet first. And we have removed a lot of features that we wanted to put in, including an example is streaming, right? Streaming on the web. Maybe there's something we will leave out for post mainnet. It's working, the streaming is working on the mobile app and the desktop app, but on the browser, there are some issues in getting it to work. So will it be, will it impact the launch date? No, we will still launch, and we will say it's work in progress, and we will get it working because it's a front end feature. So we try to make sure that we get the project out with minimum value proposition. And I think we have a very good minimum value proposition with all the apps. And there may be one or two features that are not 100%, but we will get there after mainnet. Okay, question 4. Which aspects of the mainnet launch are you most excited about? Marketing, community engagement, price appreciation, partner relationship, something else. The most thing, what I'm excited about is adoption, which is not listed here. We want people to use our platform. It's that simple. And if people use it and adopt it, and then everything else will flow. So whether the adoption happens with the Vault app or Chalk app or Blimp app, we don't care, right? Because if one of those apps hit the market, that means there is storage being used. If storage is being used, then all other apps basically will come into play. It will draw attention to the other apps. An example is Bolt, Atlas, and Chimney. It's those apps will get adoption because of Vault or Chalk or Blimp getting used by our customers. So we need usage of the one of the three apps. It's could be Vault, it could be Chalk, or it could be Blimp. We don't know, but basically our marketing strategy is to highlight those three apps to the user base. So we'll see which one will take off, and that's what I'm excited about. And if one takes off, then the others will take off. Question 5, which aspect of the upcoming launch are you most concerned or anxious about? I would say, it's always the storage protocol that I'm a little bit concerned about, because you want to make sure it works really well. If there is a high level of adoption, will it cause problems on the blockchain side? Because there are as there are file operations, there are write markers, and the more write markers there are, that means there are a lot of transactions on the blockchain, which affects the finality, which affects the speed of the blockchain, and that could affect also the storage protocols. So we're a little bit concerned about it, but we have load tested our platform, and it looks good. I mean, we have passed the load test, so that's the only concern that I have. Can we scale? And one of the other concerns that we had before was disk space growth, and that's something we corrected recently with our code. So in terms of disk space growth on the for the states is something we're concerned. This is the minor and the shorter SSDs, because they save their state in the SSD. And there's a limited amount. There's about 480 to 980, 960 GB. So that's something we're always concerned about. Okay, can it last a year or a couple of years? And then we can figure it out, right? So that's the only aspect that we are concerned about. But otherwise, we have load tested stuff, so we expect things to work, and I think we should be good in terms of the of taking on millions of subscribers and people using the app on a regular basis. So we expect the blockchain and the storage protocol to hold up against the load. We also were concerned about in terms of reads, how many reads that could affect the bandwidth of our blobbers. But we put in some restrictions on how much a user can read. So you could essentially blacklist a user and kind of bottleneck their bandwidth needs so that it can, and this is done automatically, so that you can constrain the amount of cost you're encountering on as a blobber, right? So that's something, those are practical issues. Is there a malicious blobber out there? Is there a malicious user out there that we need to be concerned about? So those are the ones that we looked at and have taken them into our consideration and put in checks in place. Have we, made sure that every aspects of our protocol is sorted out, is bulletproof with security? That's something we don't know. We have looked at all corner cases and we have come up with Byzantine conductor cases for those. And we have tested almost everything. So I'm sure there is something that we have not tested. And those are the things that we'll figure out, as we go along. We cannot test every corner cases until, when we launch. It'll happen over time. So, but we are, confident that we have covered 99% of the cases. Question 6, what is the expected file size on blobbers? What is the recommended file system and or external file system tuning parameters? For blobbing, would there be a difference in potential rewards using SSD versus HDD storage in terms of latency, I guess? So what is the expected file size? We're limiting the file size to, I think, 5 terabytes or something. And it doesn't, the reason we have limitation is because we do challenges on the file and the file cannot be too big. If it is too big, then the challenge time takes too long and then you won't get paid. So that's the only restriction that we have on the file size. There's also a timeout on for the HTTP protocol. So there's only so much time we can allow for the session to be open. So based on those two restrictions, we restrict it to be about 5 terabytes, but we're still looking at it in terms of what is the maximum file size should we allow for effective use of the blobbers. In terms of potential rewards, using it's really no difference. So the only difference is that you may charge more. So you could highlight your blobber as having SSD and charge more in terms of the right price, but in terms of the disk space, in terms of the rewards that the network is giving you, it doesn't matter. Question 7, what type of protocols, apps would you be most excited to see built on top of the platform? Well, I would say uh, the most excited part would be for people to use um, the their database. If they can use our platform for storing data on our platform, and this is I'm talking about EBS type of performance. If we can get EBS type of performance on our platform, then I would like to see all the database cloud apps migrate to our platform. That would be a big deal. I would also like to see data lakes and AI data being used on our platform, using our platform, because AI, for instance, it's a good fit for us in terms of security of the data, and AI data doesn't require as fast of a performance. It requires fast performance, but security is key there. So I would like all the AI apps to use our platform. And data lake. Data lake is used for a variety of stuff based on analytics and AI um, um, and other aspects of the business operations. I'd also like to see backup vendors. All the backup software platforms use our platform for as an alternative to existing platforms for storing their backup data. So I think these are three things that I would like people to start using it. Probably backup data is probably the first one. Second would be data lake. Third would be all AI data. And then fourth would be database. But we're targeting all these companies to see if one of them will start using our platform. Okay, question 8. What type of applications, what type of applications do you AI applications can you see being implemented through Zeus network, and how would this be achieved? It's basically the data storage, right? So the input data is very important to be protected, to be secure, because the input data drives the output of the AI. On the application side, the AI application needs to retrieve the data from Zeus and then process it and present the result. So we just need the AI application to use our SDK as they pull the data from Zeus network, but we would like them to store the AI data into on our Zeus network. Last question. Do you think the Zeus blockchain will be used for other applications other than storage? I remember a project with Meta regarding Wi-Fi. Yes, we could. The problem, one of the things we need to sort out is, can the blockchain handle um, the can the blockchain scale? I think before we do Wi-Fi Meta, we need to see if we can shard and improve the scaling. If we can scale the blockchain operations, I think that's one of the biggest things that we need to sort out. But for the next release, we're gonna focus on view change. We're gonna focus on storage, obviously, storage protocols, how to make that more efficient, and to make it more, I would say, more efficient in terms of using the blockchain, because right now that is kind of our biggest bottleneck if we use a lot of file operations. So if we can improve that, then there'll be less burden on the blockchain, and then we can use it for other applications, as you mentioned here. Wi-Fi is one of our key goals to achieve, because I think there's only one out there in terms of a decentralized Wi-Fi, but it hasn't really taken hold in the market yet. So we want to achieve something there. And So, after mainnet, our focus is view change, our decentralized, basically a DAO, making decisions on configuration changes, and then basically making sure the storage protocols are solid and caters to the market demands. So we want to address all the storage market needs, as we go along, for the next release. But in terms of scaling the blockchain, that's something we will probably look at but not focus on for the next release. All right. Okay, so let's see, that's all the questions. Well, I'll probably announce on the channel what we are gonna do in the next few hours in terms of whether we continue down the path of using the current code for the active set, or we go straight to mainnet with a final release. So that's something to be decided today. And then we'll let you know how what the plan is. Till then, and then we will, I think, convene again in 2 weeks. I'll be able to relate. I'll be able to talk about what transpired at NFT San Francisco, how the meetings went with several people that we expect to meet. So that's something that we can talk about, and hopefully the mainnet will be released. So we'll see. Till then, thank you for watching, and hope you have a great weekend, and look forward to mainnet release sometime between now and